It is April 5th, 1933. You are an American citizen, you are law-abiding, you pay your taxes, you believe in the Constitution. But this morning, you woke up to find that you are effectively a criminal, not because you stole something, but because of what you own. President Franklin D. Roosevelt has just signed Executive Order 6102. The order is simple: turn in your gold. All of it. The coins in your safe, the bullion under your floorboards, the certificates in your bank. If you refuse, 10 years in federal prison, and a fine equivalent to 200 zallos in today's money. We grow up believing in private property. We believe that if we work for something, it is ours. But history tells a different story. History teaches us that private property is not a right. It is a permission slip, and when a government gets deep enough into debt, that permission slip is revoked. From the wheat fields of Soviet Russia to the bank accounts of modern Cyprus, the pattern is identical. When the state runs out of money, they don't cut their spending. They don't declare bankruptcy. They come for you. They come for the forbidden assets. And today, with global debt hitting levels never seen in human history, the great confiscation isn't just a possibility. It is a mathematical certainty. The only question is, what will they take first? To understand what they will take, you have to understand why they take it. Governments operate like a biological organism. Their primary drive is survival. When a government is rich, it can afford to be benevolent. It grants rights. It protects savings. But when a government is drowning in debt, like the US, the UK, and Europe are today, it turns predatory. Think of the nation as a giant piggy bank. For decades, politicians have been writing checks they can't cash. They promise pensions, wars, and welfare. Eventually, the bill comes due. They have 3 options. Option 1, default. Tell the world they are broke. They never do this because it destroys their power. Option 2, hyperinflation. Print money until it's worthless. They do this often, but it causes revolutions. Option 3, financial repression. This is the polite term for stealing your stuff. In the medieval ages, the king sent men with swords to take your grain. Today, the mechanism is cleaner. It's digital. It's legal. And it happens before you even wake up. The forbidden asset is whatever asset allows you to be independent of the state. That is why they target it. They don't just want your wealth. They want your dependency. If you can feed yourself, you don't need their ration cards. If you can bank yourself, you don't need their central bank. So, let's look at the historical menu of confiscation. What gets eaten first? The first thing they take is the easiest thing to reach: your cash. But they don't walk into your house and take your wallet. That's too messy. They take it from the bank. We saw this in Cyprus in 2013. The banks were insolvent. The government was broke. So, over a single weekend, they locked the doors. When they opened on Monday, anyone with more than 100,000 euros in their account noticed a change. A large chunk of their money was simply gone. It was converted into bank shares, worthless stock in a failing bank. They called it a bail-in. Most people think their bank deposits are their money. They are wrong. Legally, once you deposit money in a bank, it is no longer your property. It is an unsecured loan you have made to the bank. You are a creditor. And in a bankruptcy, creditors get 0. In the US, the Dodd-Frank Act creates the pathway for this exact scenario. Your savings account is the low-hanging fruit. It is digital. It is centralized. And with one line of code, it can be seized to save the system. But what if you don't keep cash? What if you own a business or a farm? That brings us to level 2. In every major revolution, from the Bolsheviks in Russia to Mao in China, the second target is land and produce. In 1929, Stalin didn't just want political control. He wanted the grain. He targeted the kulaks, the farmers who were slightly more successful than their neighbors. He declared them enemies of the state. He confiscated their land, their equipment, and their harvest. Millions starved. You might say, that's communism. That can't happen in a democracy. Let me introduce you to civil asset forfeiture. In the United States today, law enforcement can seize your property, your cash, your car, your home, without ever charging you with a crime. They just have to suspect the property was involved in a crime. It is then up to you to prove the property is innocent. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry. But the bigger threat to your land isn't the police. It's the taxman. Property taxes are the rent you pay to the government to live in your own house. Stop paying, and you realize you don't own that land at all. And now, they are discussing unrealized capital gains taxes. Imagine the value of your home goes up. You haven't sold it. You have no extra cash. But the government sends you a bill for the profit you haven't even made yet. To pay the bill, you have to sell the house. This is soft confiscation. It's seizure by 1,000 cuts. Finally, we reach the asset they fear the most: gold. Why did FDR confiscate gold in 1933? Because gold is the only asset that is not someone else's liability. If you hold physical gold, you don't need a bank. You don't need a government promise. It is pure sovereign wealth. And that is why it is intolerable to a failing state. When people buy gold, they are voting against the currency. They are opting out of the system. FDR couldn't print money to fund the New Deal if citizens could just hoard gold. So he outlawed the competition. Today, the gold is crypto, specifically Bitcoin. And we are seeing the same playbook. They can't easily confiscate Bitcoin if you hold your own keys. So they create choke points. They shut down the on-ramps. They sue the exchanges. They create central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. A CBDC is the ultimate tool of confiscation. It is programmable money. Imagine a currency that has an expiration date. Spend this by Friday or it disappears. Imagine a currency that turns off if your carbon footprint is too high. Imagine a currency that freezes because you donated to the wrong protest movement, as we saw with the Canadian truckers in 2022. With CBDCs, confiscation doesn't require a raid. It just requires a keystroke. The list of what they can take is terrifying: cash, land, pensions, gold. So what survives? What is the true, forbidden asset that they cannot touch? History gives us the answer. The assets that survived 1933, 1917, and 1945 were the assets that had no counterparty and high portability. In 1933, many Americans didn't turn in their gold. They buried it. They sent it to Switzerland. They understood a fundamental truth: if the government knows you have it, you don't own it. The true forbidden asset is privacy. It is the ability to hold wealth where the system cannot see it. It is physical gold held outside the banking system. It is Bitcoin held on a hardware wallet that has never touched a KYC exchange. It is a second passport, giving you a legal exit door when your home country locks the gates. And most importantly, it is your skills. In the collapsing Roman Empire, the rich were looted. The artisans, the builders, the healers, the growers were protected. Knowledge is the only wealth that weighs nothing and cannot be taxed. The government is not evil. It is just desperate. And a desperate debtor will always rob a wealthy saver. The great confiscation is not a matter of if but when. The laws are already on the books. The digital infrastructure is being built right now. The trap is set. Most people will wait until the knock at the door. But you have the advantage of history. You know that when the state promises your money is safe, that is the exact moment you should start worrying. Don't be the low-hanging fruit. Secure your digital rights. Hold physical assets. And learn the laws of privacy before they are rewritten. The forbidden asset is the only one you'll get to keep. If you want to know specifically how they plan to trap you in the new digital currency system, you need to watch this video on CBDCs next. It's the blueprint they don't want you to see. Subscribe for the truth. Class dismissed.